I'm too lazy. I don't feel like scrolling all the way up.
I just
Anyways,
found a long conversation of us talking about Tinder and Japanese girls.
yeah. Um,
I don't think we
anyways,
ever actually talked about it in this. I'm pretty sure it was just an ABC conversation, and then you posted the evidence that you were right.
I think I sent a message earlier. Um, but anyways, apart from it got fucking delayed. Oh well. So we're going to talk about our first show, Wave Listen to Me, where we finally get the radio show. Nick, how did you
Yeah.
like the radio show?
It was actually really good. It was very the transition. So let's sort of start from the beginning. Of
Go ahead.
she shows up, we do like a little bit. We didn't mention either of the bits from the last episode either. Of our main character is slowly falling in love with her roommate, who's also a woman.
Yeah, well, no,
Um,
I kind of mentioned that too, but I thought it was a joke at first. But yeah, it's an extended joke where it's a running
yeah, I
gag.
mean they're definitely playing it up for the gags, but it is definitely one of those gags of it could be serious. It could maybe not be
Yeah,
serious, but
basically, Minara wants to bone down with the assistant girl and then marry her.
yeah,
She also wants 10 minutes alone with her.
because she's super considerate. Um, but anyways, so after that goes on, we end up starting the radio show about 8-ish minutes into this episode. Um, we set Minari up in the booth, and we have a short conversation with the director as to like, how do you see me as a person? How do you see me as a woman? Sort of thing to sort of get Minari in the mood for what she's about to do.
As she puts
As
it, she wants to gain her oh my fucking god, I can't remember the goddamn words. This is why I need notes.
I
She
mean, if
wants
you
to get
wanted to quote it, shit.
she wants to get her confidence back. Her baseless confidence.
Yeah. Um, but with her baseless confidence in point or in place, I should say, she begins her radio show, which is billed as, I believe we mentioned this in last episode, and I forget if it was actually said in last episode or just I mentioned it after watching the preview for this episode.
But it's like the
Um,
Orson Welles radio drama.
yeah, it's a guerrilla show of a woman who's just killed her husband, lover, something like
Lover,
that.
boyfriend. Uh,
Yeah, boyfriend
they
who
even make the
was,
Orson Welles comparison in in this episode.
yeah,
But when starting with talking about the radio show or the actual the
broadcast.
broadcast, they cut to a woman over a tied up man with the knife,
Uh huh.
right?
Uh huh.
And at first, as I was watching it, my thought process was, this is like her delusion. This is what
Right.
she's talking about.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing her voice on the radio,
Uh huh.
and you realize this is actually happening. This
Yep.
is a lady killing a man who
Uh huh.
also may or may not be the person that Minare was envisioning when she was killing Mitsuo, basically.
Yeah. So this could be from the first, like now that you mention it, and I think back on it, this could be from the first episode, the boyfriend and the one chick that we saw.
I thought the chick had brown hair though, and this girl has black hair. That's probably a minor
I
thing, but I
I
think
thought I thought both of them had black hair.
okay. Even still, they most likely they are the same person.
Hmm.
So now we've got another side plot where this girl's on the fucking run because she just tried to kill her boyfriend.
Well, she's not on the run for very long.
She jumps out the window.
She runs out the front door and gets hit by a car.
No, she jumps out the window.
Does she jump out a window?
I
thought
think she
ran
jumps
the
out the
door.
window.
She looks out the window. I have to go back and watch it then.
I thought I heard glass breaking.
Well, she gets hit by a car is what happens.
Right, but I thought the glass breaks, she jumps out, and then gets hit by something. I don't know. Anyways, most likely she's dead.
Well, they say she's alive.
They do? Oh,
Yeah.
she's alive.
They say that she's still breathing
Oh, yes, you're right.
while the guy is still tied up on the floor.
Regardless,
Anyways,
she's on the floor,
that's side
bloodied.
plot that we disagree on aside. Um, it is an interesting show. So it's about like 6.5 to 7 minutes altogether of our actual show, and it was an interesting little component. The first like 5 minutes of I fucking love. The first 5 minutes is
And then the aliens happen.
Minare Minare as the person who's just killed her boyfriend, and she's sort of going through like how she's feeling about it as like the person he was, and why he like his good points and why he deserved this and how she's
Yeah.
feeling about it. Like it was compelling fucking listening to her for the first 5 minutes. And then we have like the weird out of nowhere plot of and then aliens show up. which
that even
when they
takes her
explain
back.
later on, it does, and it's really bizarre. And the fact that it ends with her meeting the clone of the boy that she's just killed, and him being hungry, and her
Oh.
ending with "That's how you always get me," like it was a weird little thing. But I kind of think like overall the narrative of the story was actually kind of tied. She tied it together well there at
Yes,
the end.
with the I'm always hungry little bit.
Yeah,
So she does bring it back in a really good way. Also in a really interesting, well, not interesting, but very quick way. Like she only had 10 minutes to like actually tie everything up, and she was making all this up right on the fucking spot.
was it only 10 minutes?
Not 10 minutes, but some
I
some
don't. I
odd
don't remember.
minutes.
Like, yeah, she had like 20 minutes altogether.
The show was
Although
supposed.
she did take her a while to get to the second page of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the broadcast was supposed to be 22 minutes. We only get 6 minutes of it, mostly because they just didn't want to do a 22-minute episode where it's just her talking.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to believe
Even
that
though
those
I
6
think it would have
minutes.
been great.
I think it would have been interesting. But yeah, anyways, those 6 minutes we're supposed to believe are about 22.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting thing. As I was thinking about it, I was thinking about what we were talking about last episode when we were talking about,
Ways they could
going
do
into
it.
this broadcast, the ways we could do with it. And we were talking about like if they did do a 22-minute episode that was just the broadcast as like a unique way of doing it. And I was thinking about specifically how we were seeing other people's reactions to the broadcast. And specifically the lady who was about to kill the guy.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been interesting to see it from like the perspective of a lot of different people as, what's going on at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Right, like
Not
those
a
guys
lot
who
of
are playing
good shit.
mahjong.
Yeah.
We don't see them, but we get told about them after the broadcast, in the next day at the restaurant.
Yeah. So it would have been interesting to see a 22-minute episode from the perspective of the people listening in to the broadcast of like how they're reacting to it and absorbing what's going on. Could have been interesting. They probably won't do it, but it would be interesting to see. But anyways, going back to what we actually saw in this episode, the broadcast was really interesting. I think afterwards it got a little bit better with the explanation of why the aliens were a thing, with a tie-in to the original Guerrilla Radio show in War of the Worlds. The fact that like that was the specific reason was to, as an homage to that, have there be aliens.
Was that one of the characters' theories, or was that their actual explanation?
So that's what
I think the assistant says that, right? Oh, that could have been an homage to the original broadcast.
Well, the studio head says that was why they did it.
Okay.
Well, the studio head says that the writer guy wrote it as an homage to War of the Worlds.
Okay.
But we later see that a lot of the decisions about this broadcast were actually made by the director of the studio, not by the head writer guy. So I don't actually know like whether it's truly an homage or if it was a decision by the writer or by the head executive to be like, all right, like start her off with this, give her some stage directions, and then just go wild aliens or some shit like that.
Dude, make it fucking weird.
Yeah. So I don't know if it truly was an homage, but it was said by the director that it was a purposeful homage by the writer.
And then turtle shits in her mouth.
Yeah, there's turtle shits in her mouth. That made me feel gross for a while.
Very grassy. Oh yeah, she has a dream about what she had been talking about the day before, where she's in a little spacesuit trying to save Mitsuo, and she's like, why would I want to save him? That guy was a fucking dick. And then
but
she
the
gets
aliens want her blood. Yeah, then she gets face pumped. But the aliens want her blood, but they can't take her blood because she donated.
She donated 13 weeks ago, when you have to wait 16 weeks to donate blood if you're a woman.
Yeah, if you're a woman. And then they strap her with the face hugger, but it's only absorbing the nutrients out of her blood, not her blood, so she'll still be alive. Yeah, she has very bizarre dreams. Very, very fever dreamy. But then we go back to our day-to-day life, and we do hear about the perspective of the radio broadcast from the dudes who were playing Mahjong. And we also see our other two friends at the curry shop as we talk to them about like, I had the first broadcast last night. But if I told you it was last night, would you two have even been able to tune in? As he has the guilty face of I was busy doing other things last night.
She also has a guilty face. She kind of turns her head around.
Yeah. So we know something is going on with the curry shop mystery.
Something's going on with that, and it seems like Minare is a little upset.
Yeah. So we've done one episode now, got a broadcast out there, actually done a radio show. And it seems like we're going right back to doing Curry Shop Murder Mystery.
Curry Shop Murder Mystery, and Apartment Exorcism.
Yeah, that is next episode is possibly a radio show, maybe just like a radio recording that they'll do of Apartment Exorcism Mystery, Murder Ghost Mystery.
Because like that character is like in the endings, like he seems like he's a bit more important than we think he is right now. He's just not.
But
he's
he
not
hasn't
just a
done anything yet.
Right, but I think he might, with this new story, B
Uh-huh.
plot, whatever, he might become a bit more important.
Maybe.
For-
It was one of those things like as I was watching the preview for next episode, I was wondering why is this character important? Because up until now
Right.
he hasn't done anything, and we don't need to know like he didn't have to be the person who lived under Minare, who lived in like the creepy,
Blood.
haunted ghost house,
The blood
blood
walls.
dripping from the ceiling. Yeah. Like none of that was necessary up until we show up at the house to do the exorcism thing. So it could just be some random dude. We could just show up at some random dude's apartment and do the exorcism. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
the same guy who lived below Minari, who we've already met. So it was one of those things of like, I wonder why they made that decision to have him be the same guy that we'd already met. So maybe it will be
There might be
he
like,
becomes a more important character.
yeah, like some relationship develops between him and Minare.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, because otherwise it's a very strange decision.
Like it doesn't make sense because like it could have
Yeah.
been any fucking dude.
It could have just been some bit character who it doesn't matter what the fuck his story is. All we really care about is
He's
the
got
blood
a
dripping from the walls. Yeah, apartment
blood
thing.
walls.
The ghost that haunts the apartment. And the fact that her and the assistant director are going to dress up like exorcists and do some exorcism shit.
Wait, what the hell? Really?
Yeah, it was like the last shot of the
Oh,
the
I guess I
preview.
was just listening to the preview, not actually watching it. Well, that's dressing up. That sounds like fun. We'll see what happens with that. But overall, I really liked this episode. It was really fun. Animation's pretty good for a show that's just about a lady talking on the radio. It's a lot better than most. I like the art style of the show. Like the texture of the frame just looks interesting.
Yeah.
It's very like, I don't know, not scratchy, but like there's just a texture to it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the
I
way it
think
makes it
scratchy
look.
is the right word.
Yeah.
I will say, for complaining a lot about decisions that were made earlier in the show, I do have to give it credit for the 5 minutes of the first part of the radio show were phenomenal. I mean, I afterwards had to go back and look at like how much time it was because it was enthralling to listen to for those 5 minutes.
Right, and that's just and the entirety of that section is just that one voice actor's just going fucking ham.
Yeah,
Like
And
the
then-
fucking cackling, like the sharp turns in her emotions are all fantastic.
it was across the board great decisions. But really, what stood out to me was the start of it, and we talked about this before at the very beginning of this, with how it begins with seeing a woman, presumably or possibly the girl who is now dating Minare's ex, about to kill Mitsuo. And in the background is the music from Sound High Tide, or whatever the radio show is called,
Yeah.
at 3 a.m. And the start of it with like that creepy setting with the knife and the dude tied up and the lady with the murder eyes and the pleasant like Weather Channel jazz music playing in the background.
It really sets it up. Like
It really
very
captures
well.
the tone of creepy 3 a.m. broadcast.
Well, not even that, but also it captures the subject material of this lady. It captures how she must live. Like, it's very horror-y. It fits very well with what they're about to talk about.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But just like the decision to like specifically the decision to start with that radio broadcast, because like you could have just had 3, 2, 1. Minari starts talking right there. Like we go straight into the radio show.
Yeah.
The decision to do 3, 2, and then cut to that moment, like that scene of listening to the radio and stuff going on, like somebody's day-to-day life at 3 a.m. where nothing good ever happens at 3 a.m. Like, and the decision of going from listening to the radio straight into like actually seeing somebody's experiences with the broadcast. I thought that decision to show us not from the perspective of Minari in the booth, but from the perspective of the people listening to the radio at 3 a.m. was a phenomenal decision. It really like drove home that feeling of
it's 3 a.m. shit's fucking
3
going
a.m.
down.
radio. Yeah, what the fuck is this? Creepy radio stuff.
Did you think that it was also like her delusion at that time?
I did.
Okay.
Originally, I did think it was her delusion. Because it was definitely like the setup, and the dude's name was also Mitsuo. Like, it definitely felt like it was her delusion until she cut in on the radio, clearly going insane with the "I just killed the guy." It was a weird decision to have the murder thing going on in the background first. I think it definitely lended itself to looking at it from the perspective of, oh, this is her talking about, like, this is her
Right,
what she's talking about on the radio.
I definitely think that was the point. That was a little red herring to make you believe it, and then suddenly, this is real. Like it's actually happening.
Right.
But God, fucking Mitsuo's life, dude. What led to this? What led to him being accosted by his girlfriend at 3 a.m. with a fucking knife and tied up?
Assuming that he's the same ex-boyfriend that Minari was talking about in the first episode, he was a dickhead.
But how much of a dickhead do you have to be to have a girl fucking try to kill you?
Well, depends on the girl.
Depends on the girl. Also depends whether like his taste in women too.
Yeah.
Because he went out with Minari.
Well, I mean, that largely doesn't factor in. Generally, people don't choose girlfriends. They're like, how likely are you, scale of 1 to 10, to murder me in my sleep? 9? That's what I'm talking about. I feel like generally the only reason you ask that question is that they'll tell you 1. Okay, good. I don't want to die in my sleep. If you're gonna kill me, just wait until I wake up and then kill me. I want to see it coming.
Do you?
I think I would.
Okay.
I mean, if I was gonna get stabbed, I'd rather be awake than asleep. I feel like if I woke up into getting stabbed, I'd be very upset.
I mean, you'd be dead eventually.
It's true, but I wouldn't be dead immediately is the problem, I imagine.
Would it hurt more if you were like asleep and then had to like wake up to that, or if you saw it coming?
I mean, I kind of imagine it's going to hurt the same amount.
Yes, but like if you let's think about this like a jumping, right? Jumping, I guess. Like let's say a knife getting stabbed with a knife is about like a 10-foot cliff, little 10-foot elevation. And when you're awake, I feel like you're 5 feet up, and you have to just jump 5 feet to get to the top of the cliff, right? But if you're asleep, it's about 10 feet that to go up, right?
Sure.
It's the shock of baseline to the hurt, right? That difference.
You're comparing getting stabbed to jumping off of either a 5 or 10-foot drop. I think both of those would be
jumping up, because I'm talking about the baseline, right? Baseline when you're awake, it can't be that. It's not going to be, it's not going to hurt.
I mean, it is.
No.
It factually is.
I'm saying baseline, you're not hurting all the time. So getting stabbed is going to hurt. But when you're asleep, like, you're in that peaceful, pleasant state. So your baseline of pain is lower.
Okay.
Right? So that difference, it's the difference that makes the difference, Nick.
I like that you keep saying, right? As though what you're saying
this
is
makes
logically
sense.
sound.
Anyways, that was the way
your baseline of pain is lower in your sleep. Oh my god! All right.
Anyways, that's the way you listen to me.
I mean, we can test this. I'll slap you when you're awake. I'll slap you when you're asleep, and you can tell me which one hurts more.
Depends if it's REM sleep or non-REM sleep.
That's true.
But yeah, that's the way you listen to me. We had facehuggers. We had poop. We had aliens. We had an actual murder going down. Well, we had an attempted murder going down.
We had an attempted murder. We had the story of an actual murder, and then we have Curry House Murder Mystery and Ghost Mystery.
Curry House Murder Mystery plus drama, wherein Minari is now falling in love with blonde-haired dude. Blonde-haired dude just fucked the other girl.
I mean, I don't know if falling in love with. She just wants to have him as an option.
Yes, there you go.
She's falling in love with the assistant director. Let's be real.
This is true. She just wants, God, I don't even remember his name, but blonde-haired dude as a backup, which is the perfect segue into seeing yesterday. You sing yesterday to me.
Yes. So we talked about this last episode, where I said I wanted another character, and I feel like I've told this story before, but the very first episode of Black Mirror. Do you remember what it was?
I never watched Black Mirror.
Oh, okay. So the very first episode is back when it was still a BBC show and not a Netflix show. It was basically I want to say it was like a princess of the royal family gets captured or
Oh wait,
kidnapped.
is it the one where James Cameron? Not James Cameron. Sorry. Prime Minister Cameron was it Cameron?
David Cameron?
David Cameron fucks the pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In reference to when I want to say it was actually David Cameron
It was.
allegedly
It
actually
wasn't.
fucks a pig.
It wasn't because that came out before the allegations came out that he fucked the pig.
Did it? Okay.
Yep.
It just was coincidence that
Very
he
coincidental.
allegedly fucked the pig.
Maybe someone like knew about this allegation beforehand, but yes, the episode came out before.
Okay. But yes, it is that episode where that is the punchline of what I was getting to was it ends up with the Prime Minister of England has to fuck a pig on camera, which is nationally broadcast so that the princess will be returned. And it's like an hour and a half long, and he doesn't actually start fucking the pig until like an hour and 20 minutes into this episode. And so, and you know that he has to, like, as a condition for the princess getting released, he has to fuck the pig starting from like, it's kind of early on. Like, it's within the first like 20 minutes, like the kidnapper's demands come out, and you know what's going
Oh,
or
fuck the pig.
what he wants to see happen. And it's for like an hour of the show, I was like, I just want to see him fuck the pig. Like, that's all I want. All I want is for him to fuck the pig. And then after an hour of me going like, fuck the pig, fuck the pig, fuck the pig, you get there, and it was the most intensely uncomfortable thing I've ever witnessed. Like, I've never more in the history of watching a show gone from wanting something so badly to wanting literally anything else than what's happening on screen more in my life.
So
Like,
you didn't like the the new character.
yeah. Because after the last episode where I said I wanted a character to show up and like add something in, you said you didn't want a character just for the sake of drama. When we got another character in this episode, I was immediately like, I just want him to go away. I don't want this character. I don't
Well, he
want
does
him to
go
be
away.
here.
I thought he was okay. I thought he was integral to Haru's development, and like to make her focus on what she wanted.
Yeah,
So he didn't.
I
It
think for
wasn't
the role that he
awful.
ended up playing, it was good.
Yeah,
When he first showed up, I didn't want him. I mean, the first like 5 minutes, my gut reaction to him was
it was the same
just
as
leave.
Ritsuo, where you're like, oh, what a fucking pretentious prick.
A little bit. I did think he was a pretentious prick. Apropos of like leaving my opinions of like having an extra character aside, he was a pretentious prick. That's just factually. It didn't matter if I cared about him as an extra character or not. He just was a pretentious asshole.
While he was talking about like how he like didn't like to photograph portraits or landscapes or bullshit like that, I thought to myself, that guy fucking photographs porn. And then guess what? I was fucking right. Kind of. Maybe like, maybe it was more tasteful than just porn, but he was photographing naked ladies.
Well, they weren't naked ladies. They were like
Mostly naked
bikini
ladies.
idol ladies.
I think one of them was topless.
Was she? Okay.
I think so. Although
They were definitely like a bikini idol thing. So it may have been a, not a nude shoot, but like one of those tasteful nudes.
yeah. But to be
You
fair
cover up
to
everything.
him, it didn't seem like he wanted to do that.
It did not.
He was a,
One of those things where they end up with like the smallest pasties that cover just the important parts of the nipples to make it, PG-13 or whatever. But yeah, so we get a new character as Ritsuo has started a second part-time job at a photography gallery as he's getting back into his hobby, potential career of photography.
right, and this is kind of set up before in the first episode where his his friend who is in a band asks him to like make get a photograph for his band's album. Takes a photograph of Haru. So it was kind of set up, but it doesn't get really touched on for the next 3 episodes, and then suddenly now he's working at a photography gallery.
Yeah, out of sort of nowhere. Which is apparently a photography gallery that Haru has some connection to and helped him get the job here.
Wait, really?
I think something like that. There was like a brief mention of it in the very beginning of the episode that like Haru knew about this gallery opening. Maybe she just like knew about the job and suggested that Ritsu apply for it, or like helped him get the job somehow. I don't really know.
Okay, that went over my head because I thought he just got it. I thought
It was like a one-line thing right in the beginning. I might be wrong, but I think
it was his friend.
maybe it was his friend. Okay, somebody was like at the very least like told him about the job opening, and like that's why he applied, was because somebody else mentioned it. I wasn't really paying attention. I just assumed it was Haru because I think it was like a minute later, like 20 seconds later, Haru shows up. So I was just like, oh, it must have been Haru because she,
I mean, she
goes
shows
places
up
for
to
the milk hall thing.
wherever the fuck Ritsuo
Yeah,
goes.
I mean, again, we complain about a lot of things in this show that I then have to go. But I mean, it does. That's because it's a story. Like she doesn't show up. It's just not a story. Like
I'm
nothing
not complaining
happens in
that
this
she
scene.
shows up out of nowhere. I'm just complaining that she shows up.
Yeah,
Haru's kind of annoying, in my
Haru's
view.
kind of annoying. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like we complain about a lot of things, and then I have to add the caveat of, but if this doesn't happen, it's just not a story. Like there's just
Right.
no development if she doesn't show up. If
Um,
this was the story of two people who interact with each other for like 20 minutes once a week, it would be the worst show ever.
you could do something like that in an interesting way. There was these 3 movies called Before Sunrise, Before Morning. I think it's called the Before Morning trilogy. And the it's by Ethan Hawke is in it. And it's a trilogy of these characters meeting each other 3 times in their life. Well, 2 times, and the third time they're married. But the first time they're in Paris, they're in France, and they just kind of spend the day together, and that's it. Like it's just
Okay.
one day of these characters' lives, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
A year later, well, the next movie later, it's like 10 years at that point, and they meet each other again, and they spend another day together. But at the end of it, they decide that they should, get together. And then the third movie is what their life is after they got married. So there's ways to do it.
See, but there's a critical difference there, which is that those are movies, and they can
Right.
afford to do a full day in those characters' lives. A 20-minute show that doesn't work as well.
I'm saying I'm just saying that it's possible that something like that could work.
It's
just
true.
hard.
I don't think in this medium it would work though.
Okay.
Is my argument. I think it works better in film because you have a longer amount of time, and so you can devote the entirety of a film to a day and have it work. Being able to only see like 20 minutes or like a selection of moments that amount to 20 minutes of, 2 characters meeting once a week doesn't work as well in anime. But anyways, discussion of the medium aside, we have Haru who shows up, and we have the introduction of a new character who also arrives for the part-time job offered at this photography gallery.
Yeah, pretentious
Which-
dude. I don't remember his name.
They just, they're like, sure, a second part-timer, why not?
And immediately
More
Ritsuo's
hands.
not really into him.
Yeah. This dude definitely has the like starving artist look between the hat and the scruffy beard. He definitely has the starving artist look down. And when Haru shows up, we find out that this is a guy who used to go to high school with her 2 years ago. So Haru is, I guess, 20. Or I guess maybe she dropped out in her
No,
first year.
Yeah, because she drops out. We don't know when she drops out.
Although-
he's a second year, so
Yeah, he's
19,
a second year in college.
18. She could be 19, 18. He could be a little.
She could be
a little
19,
bit
yeah,
older, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, she can't be 19. She says she's 18.
She says she's 18.
So she could be close to 19. He could be 19. I don't think it really matters. She's just out of school.
I was more going into like, I guess some larger amount of time than I was expecting since the
Oh.
start of this show has passed, possibly as well.
Yeah. Time passage in the show, I'm not sure because
Yeah.
right now I think it's still winterish because
I
it's
assume.
chilly. So
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen Sakura Trees twice in this episode yet, or in this season yet, or in the show
In the
yet.
show?
So I know a year hasn't passed at least.
Yeah. It's not back to being April or
Oh
May,
wait, no, we
whenever they
did see
bloom.
Sakura Trees, but they weren't blooming. They weren't blooming.
Yeah. We saw a one without petals, then she hallucinates that it's blooming.
Yes.
But anyways, so we go off with the newly introduced part-timer that Haru knows, whose name I've also forgotten. We go off to get Japanese pancakes, okonomiyaki, that's what they're called. We go off to get that with him, and he expounds to us on his virtues of photography, as he says he doesn't do landscape or portrait photography, he does documentary photography, is what he calls it. Which I actually had to look up because I had no idea what the fuck documentary photography was. It's apparently just like anytime you photograph something that could be like, this is how life is documentary photography.
Like shit. There's a word for it, but I forgot what it was. Oh well.
So like the one of the super famous photographs that they had in the Wikipedia article was the photo of the migrant family
Oh,
from
right.
the Great Depression.
Yeah, that
We used
type
to,
of
like,
photography was really popular in like the 1920s, 1930s.
Yeah. So anything that captures like this is what life is like at this moment in this place is under the category of documentary photography. So it's actually more expansive of a topic than I was expecting. But it also is one of those topics of like, I feel like then anything could be documentary photography because you take a picture of something like, boom, it's what life is like right here where I took this picture. Bam, photography, documentary.
I mean, yeah,
But anyway,
that's true. But like, there's usually a bit more to it. I'm not a photographer, so
yeah,
like, there's like nuances that we're missing, basically.
yeah.
But
I mean, it's definitely one of those like I definitely could not do photography well enough to have it displayed in a gallery or
or
anything.
have
'Cause,
like a opinion about it, because like
yeah,
I look at a photograph and I don't know if it's good or not. I just know if it's fuzzy or not.
I mean, a
Even
lot
then,
of
not that
from what
much.
I understand of art galleries, outside of if you went to an art gallery with like super hoity-toity people, they may have opinions other than this. But from what I've heard from when I've gone to art galleries during more normal times and talked to some of like the curators and stuff, generally with like more of the impressionist pieces, there's not like a wrong way to experience art. Art is whatever you look at it and feel, that is what the art is to you. It's like if you look at a photo and you're like, yeah, it's a photo. That's what the photo is to you. It doesn't have to be something more. Like, yeah, maybe the artist had a point to it, but like it is ultimately whatever when you look at it and you feel something about it, that is how you have interacted with the art, and that's what it means to you. Is generally how like artists
Yeah,
and curators and stuff view their art is through the lens of how will other people have a reaction to this.
right. And to be
Um,
fair to a pretentious prick, I don't think there's anything wrong about wanting liking one version of photography more than another. Like if he wants to
yeah,
photograph people, like fuck it, like let him do his thing.
yeah. I more had a problem with him because his whole
Oh yeah, every other
landscape
photography sucks.
photography is just yeah. I mean, if he was just like, I like documentary photography the best because it captures the essence of people or something like that, I'd be like, okay, I can respect
Cool,
that.
yeah.
Like, you got an opinion? That's your preferred form? Go for it.
But then he's like,
Fucking
why do people use landscapes and portraits and shit,
yeah.
bro?
Port- Portraits are lazy, and landscapes don't actually depict anything. They're just land and crap. And you're like, dude, get over yourself. But that aside, he shows up. He eats his food and bails because he has another part-time job to go to, and
The nude
Ritsuo
ladies.
has a little bit of a meltdown basically.
Yeah. And
And
plus
this sort of
that,
begins the thing with Ritsuo and Haru and other dude and teacher lady, who they're doing the worst job of not being friends.
right? At this point, like they've just stopped with their little promise of not hanging out together.
Yeah. I mean, I could vaguely understand that, like maybe this was one of those, a whole bunch of our classmates are getting together, and so it wasn't necessarily they invited each other so much as it was like
Yeah,
they were
but then
both
they chose to
independently.
leave together.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was where I
part.
was like, you know,
Like, yeah,
I mean, if you just showed up and the other person was there, and all of your friends were also there, yeah, I could understand you being like, look, I'm gonna drink, you're gonna drink, we don't have to interact. The walking home together was the point where I was like, really, dude, come on, man, you're better than this.
but at this point, like they're just trying to be friends now. So,
I mean, they really are. They've been trying to be friends since 5 minutes after they said they couldn't be friends
yeah.
anymore. Uh,
And then yeah, they both. So at this time, also Haru and the other kid are walking together, and they just happen to be walking in the same fucking direction, streets apart, and they see each other, and they both think the wrong thing, and they just fucking bail.
yeah. And
Uh,
then Ritsuo and Haru both get a little bit like sulky, angry because what the fuck is their problem walking with that other person at night?
yeah,
Who the fuck do they think they are?
and Shinako just doesn't really give a shit. Well, actually, she does mention that she's no longer been walking in circles, so we see a little bit of development in her, where she may or may not be like starting to actually, move on from the memory of the guy she liked and died before he even knew, or she even knew that he liked the guy.
17-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. So something's going on with her. We'll see what happens, because that's basically the only time we see her in this episode is just that walk.
It's true.
Much of the
We
episode,
don't ever see Artist Kid, I
yeah,
don't think.
much of this episode is kind of focused on the pretentious kid and Haru's relationship with him.
Yeah.
Because fun fact, pretentious kid likes Haru. Not really fucking surprising the moment they fucking meet.
Yeah. And it sort of gets into one of the things that I'm again going to complain about, which is the whole at the end of this episode, or not the end, not the very end, but near the end of this episode, pretentious guy basically tells Haru like, "Look, I'm gonna go around the world with my camera, but I have to tell you this because otherwise I'll regret it. I was in love with you when we were in high school. Will you go out with me?" And it's just one of those things. Like watching it, the only thing I think of is you just don't have to tell her that. Like if when I was 20, I met the girl that I had a crush on in high school again, I don't have to tell her like, "Oh yeah, I had a crush in your high school. Can we go out?" Like, I want
Well,
to
look,
date you.
I think he
It's
still
just
likes her
not that
though.
important anymore. I mean, but it's been 2 years of not having seen Haru. That's a long fucking time to nurse a crush on somebody that you don't interact with ever at all anymore. Like over 2 years, he never met anybody else that he could get it. Like he could develop a new crush on.
This is true, but like, I guess this is like complaining about people, and more in terms of the show. Like, it's a kind of different perspective of like how people have been confessing. Like for what's his face for Ritsuo, he confesses and then like continues to like fucking talk to her. But for
Uh-huh.
this kid, he confesses and then just immediately bails. He's like, "All right, oh well, you don't like me, see ya."
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little different perspective of a different perspective of moving on. Basically, Ritsuo can't move on. This kid doesn't. He just goes away, and I don't know where he goes. He just kind of goes.
Yeah. He's just going off
He
to do
goes
photography somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just bugged me that holding on to a crush for 2 years. I mean, it's a crush, and especially to the point of it's a crush that you never brought up. It wasn't one of those like I told you I loved you. You were like try harder next time, and I've been trying harder to like improve myself for now, sort of thing. This was like I didn't tell you this back then, but 2 years later, after I haven't seen you for 2 years, I'm finally going to tell you this. It just sort of strikes me as odd as a decision.
It's odd, but you know, some people are like that.
I suppose so. Um,
But to his credit, he does kind of actually just move on.
yeah,
Maybe who knows? He might come back later. I hope he doesn't. I don't want him to come back. I feel
really
like
don't want him to come back either.
this little story is like has a nice bow tie on it. It's done. Haru's moved on and has found new resolve to fucking go and try to bang Ritsuo. And this
Yeah,
kid just wants to go photograph stuff in the
yeah.
world.
Become a photographer.
It is a okay. I like this. Just don't make him come back, or make him come back and make him like say, hey, how's it going? I still don't like you. Peace out. I was just here to say hi.
I found love somewhere else.
I found love somewhere
Thanks,
else. I
bye.
like. I don't have love anywhere, but you know it's okay, and it
Yeah.
still goes. That's the only thing I would actually be okay with if he comes back. Is if he just comes back and he isn't there for drama. He's just kind of there to say hi. It's not very interesting,
Uh-huh.
which is one reason I don't want him to show back up again. But that's
Right.
the only way I would like it.
Okay. That's fair.
But overall, I still like the show.
Ugh, I definitely don't think he needs to come back,
Yeah,
if
I don't think it does.
at all. I think it's better if he just sort of he had this moment. This was the arc that it's in. I mean, we talk about these characters like they exist when they definitely don't.
But here's that's a testament to how well these characters are written, in my opinion.
It's true. It's very true.
You could believe a Haru exists or believe Pretentious Kid exists.
Yeah,
You can't
definitely.
particularly believe a Sundere exists in real life.
It is very true. Um, it is talking more about from like the perspective of the show. I suppose is the best way to phrase it. Do you think we're going to do like a rotating thing? Because we've kind of been doing like a rotating
Oh, like
plot
storytelling where
focus.
we kind of hop around each character's story.
Yeah.
I think so. I like the way they're doing it. I like the focus on different characters at a given time.
Do you want them to keep doing it like every episode is a different character?
I mean, possibly. I'm okay with that. Eventually, things are going to start kind of I'm doing some weird gestures with my hand, but everything's going to start getting tangled, and it's going to become less and less just a single character being focused on. I think next episode we're going to focus on Shinako, because I don't think we focused on her just yet. Because we did Ro last week, and some Shinako. We did mostly Haru this week. I mean, I think 3 weeks ago we did mostly Ritsuo, or even then Ritsuo has been most of the focus up until then.
Yeah.
So I think Shinako's going to have her time next episode, especially
Okay.
given the fact that she said, I'm not moving in circles anymore. We'll get to see like what that means more.
Cool. I'd like to see some Shinako stuff to see what's been going on properly in her life and not just as a factor of interaction with the other painter child.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Sing Yesterday to Me? Do you
I don't
think?
believe so.
Do you think we're gonna get a reference to the song Yesterday? Like
Huh.
anywhere?
So you mentioned this before. I don't think we will. Well, Maybe,
Not like the actual
maybe at the
song,
end.
but like a reference to the song, a
Yeah,
reference to the Beatles. Because I highly
maybe at
doubt
the
they're gonna
end.
have the song. If they have the song, I'd be very, very
I would be
pleased.
shocked.
I'd be pleased. I'd be shocked. I'd be okay with it.
I have to imagine that the fucking royalties they would have to pay, or whatever the licensing fee,
Yeah.
would not be cheap.
Fun
Um,
fact, actually, there's this one show called East of Eden that
mhm.
aired, I think, 12 to 13 years ago, maybe even more than that, maybe 14 years ago, and it used an Oasis song as its opening. It no longer uses that Oasis song because they didn't license it correctly, so they got sued.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I was surprised. I mean, going back to the fucking special that we did, I was surprised in Evangelion that the fucking ending was "Fly Me to the Moon."
but that was a cover. I think the covers are a little bit different because they performed it on their own.
Yeah,
So I don't know. We'll see.
I guess
Not
maybe.
we
Yeah,
won't see. I just don't know how that works.
yeah, it's true. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have a reference to the song. I would be surprised. I don't know how it would come up. Is mostly the thing that I'm thinking about. Because I feel like it would just be sort of shitty if there was just like at the very end they were like, and then here's the album that yesterday was on, or something like that, or like an LP of just
Yeah.
yesterday. It would just feel sort of shitty if that was like the way they did it. It's like I would want a proper reference, like more of like a tie into the world so it makes sense sort of thing. And I think I mentioned this last time as like what I'm thinking about is like the only band that we know about is a punk rock band,
Yeah.
which is very far apart from the Beatles in terms of like genres. So I would be kind of surprised if we did get one, but I don't know. I think
If we do, I feel like because yesterday is kind of a somber song. I feel like it
uh
would come at the end. That would be the ending song, because no one ends up with anyone.
it would be interesting if they saved it for all the way until the last episode at the end, and then played it.
I mean,
That would be.
if they're paying the big bucks, they have to have it for a big bucks moment.
It's true. I mean, at that point, you just make it the ending, and then just play the ending over that scene.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I wish they had used Under Pressure for the ending of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4. Because the main villain is based off David Bowie.
Okay,
Yeah. So it actually fits in, but you know.
that's true.
Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about. Actually, I think also one of the stands is called Under Pressure. Sorry. Let's talk about Fruits Basket.
It's okay.
So, a part of Ron, we can't talk about that anymore because it's not airing. We had three other shows lined up
Rip
that we
in
may have,
peace.
yeah, that we may have wanted to talk about, which was Katarina, aka Atome Flag something something something,
Yeah,
Gleipnir or Kakushigoto. Kakushigoto we chose not to because it's very gag based, and it suffers from the same issue that Kaguya does, where it's mostly comedy and those are hard to talk about. Same thing with Katarina. It's mostly comedy, kind of hard to talk about. And then Gleipnir, Nick just didn't watch it.
yeah.
But you should,
I've
maybe.
been busy.
I've been busy too. Jesus Christ! Like, there's just so much fucking shit to watch, dude. Holy crap.
There was yeah. I mean,
Um,
having to watch all of, or not having to, but choosing to watch all of Kakushigoto and all of
Fruits Basket.
Fruits Basket, and then potentially having to watch all of Gleipnir on top of the two shows that we had to watch. There's a lot of anime that I had to watch for ABC this week and study for finals.
Yeah. But now we're here with Fruits Basket. It's the first time we're talking about a season two. And
Sure.
what a season two to talk about because Fruits Basket is fucking amazing.
So we didn't talk about the end of season one because we did the first 12 episodes and then stopped. So I do want to get your opinions officially on ABC. How did you like the end of season one? If you don't remember it,
It made me
we find out
sad.
about Kyo's true form, and then we end with him sort of reconciling with his adopted father.
It made me sad. It was a sad. It was a sad scene seeing him so like vulnerable and like scared. But it
Mhm.
was super well done. I fucking loved it.
Oh. Do you feel like the other characters, Yuki, Kagura, who is at the
Soma State.
at Shigure's house at this time,
Oh
and
right.
Shigure, they were all inside of the house while Kyo was turning into his true form, quote unquote, outside in the rain. Do you think that they knew what was going on? I mean, Shigure knew what was going on, but do you think the other two knew what was going on and wanted to get involved but aren't allowed to? Like, what do you think was going on with them?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched it, so I'm trying to remember.
Hmm.
And even trying to remember what happens afterwards. But if I recall, I don't think Yuki or Kagura know. They just know something is wrong.
Kagura knows.
Kagura knows? Oh
Kagura knows.
shit. Yeah, I think she saw him. I don't know about Yuki. Yuki was in that room alone for a while. I just don't think he knows, or no one decided to tell him.
So I can tell you this much for sure, because I know it was in the first season, is Yuki, or not Yuki, Kyo, back when they were children, transformed into his true form before.
Yeah,
And that's why we see a shot of it.
knows.
Yeah, that's how Kagura knows, is when they were children, he transformed. You see his like
it's like
rosary
his
on the
mom.
ground. He did not kill his mom. No.
Oh.
So, they mention it at one point. That she committed suicide.
Oh, right. That's why he, like, quote unquote, killed his mom, because it was his fault.
Yeah.
And they're shitty people.
And they are shitty people. Yes.
That shouldn't have quotes in it. They're just shitty people.
Yeah.
What a fucking way to, like, fucking treat a child. Hey, kid, you killed your mom. Fuck you.
We will come to find out at some point, in case you're feeling shitty about that. There's a lot more than just Kyo's cat form to explain why she committed suicide. There was a lot going on in their lives that Kyo didn't know about. But we will find out more about...
Then, his dad's kind of a shitty person.
Dad is also a shitty person. We find that out in season 2. Which explains some of the other shit that was going
on
in
in one
their
of her
lives.
episodes where the adopted father comes in and just tells him straight up to the real dad, "You're a shitty dad. Get the fuck out of here. I'm the dad now." God, I love that character. I fucking love Master.
Yeah. Fuck, I don't remember his name. Is Hattori Soma, I believe?
Maybe, I don't know. I should call him Master because that's
what... Or no, Hattori is the doctor.
I still love Hattori. I love a lot of the characters in the show.
There's a lot of good characters in the show. I don't remember what his name is, but we have the appearance of Kyo's adopted father, who is not part of the Zodiac Animal stuff, and
I don't think
Kyo
it's a Soma,
turns into...
right? He married into the Soma.
Well, he is. Well, I actually don't know.
Is the mom the Soma or he the Soma? Or are they both Somas, like just distant relatives? Because I guess that's okay with them.
Is the mom a Soma? What do you mean? Is the mom a Soma?
Like,
of Kyo's parents?
Yeah.
I
guess
don't actually know. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know if they ever tell you which one is actually related to the Somas, or if they're not both related to the Somas.
I know his granddad is his granddad. Granddad, right? His
granddad
is
the
the
Master's grandfather.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right. That's why
Master's
he's better
grandfather
equipped
was the old cat.
Handle Kyo.
Yes.
And also why he feels kind of upset. He feels guilty that he never helped his grandfather out, so now he wants to help out Kyo.
Because we see and then are told later in the second or third episode, whenever the adopted father goes to meet Kyo's actual father, that when the cat graduates from high school, they are imprisoned forever on the Soma's main estate.
Well, I think that was the deal, is he gets to go to high school, but then he gets imprisoned.
Yeah. And they get put in this little tiny house all by themselves in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Yeah, pretty shitty. Not very good. Not something to look forward to.
Yeah.
This is an episode where they talk about what their future is and what's her face. Torish that's crying because she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Sad moment.
It is a sad moment. But overall, so season 2. I don't know what to start with, because we have 4 episodes.
It's 4 episodes. There's a lot happening in these 4 episodes.
Yeah, and they're very varied in tone. Because we have more like Yuki focused stuff going on in the first episode.
Yeah, some Yuki focused stuff in the first episode. We focus on Kyo a lot in the second episode because that's the episode where he is kind of reconciling with his dad. Third episode is Yuki and his brother, and then the fourth episode is everything's going on with Haru and his girlfriend. The other Zodiac spirit that we have not met yet, aka Ren, the horse.
Yes.
I will be making a lot of shit. I forgot the lady's name. Ignore me. I won't be making this joke because I don't even know the fucking actress's name.
Solid.
I'll remember it halfway through this talking.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
God damn it! Yes, Sarah Jessica Parker jokes.
Okay.
Horseface.
It took me a while to see where you were going with that, because you were the horse thing, and I didn't know where you were going. And then when you said actress, I finally got what you were going for.
Yeah, SJP. Anyways,
who's way more popular than us?
Yes. Also, the first episode we meet 2 new characters who might be a bit more important. We meet kind of like a rival character to Yuki. I don't remember his name, but he's part of the student council, as well as this other girl. And like something is going on with them. They seem to know a little bit more than they're letting on, but we have not seen them yet. But there's something going on.
Since we have the appearance of Yuki as now the student council president,
Yep.
and his or the two new characters are vice president and the treasurer, I believe.
Yes. Vice president's the
Uh,
girl?
the vice president is the guy.
Guy. Oh, what a fucking vice president.
Yep.
I would choose a
Who
girl.
believes that not only are they the student council, but they are also the guy believes that they are also the school defense force in Super Sentai form
Yeah.
because he wants to be the Black
Yeah, he wants to be
Ranger
Black Ranger.
and he wants Yuki to be the Red Ranger as the leader, or
Yep.
possibly the Pink Ranger because his girly face.
Yep.
Yuki is not a huge fan of being
Either.
told to his face that he has a girly face, so at the moment he sort of sees this guy as, wow, this dude's sort of a dickhead.
Yeah. This dude's a dickhead. But there's like a little twinkle in the eye of the other dude. I don't know if he was trying to come on to Yuki or trying to make fun of him. I don't know yet.
He strikes me very much as a, he's a bro.
Okay.
So I think he's just, he was having fun at Yuki's expense, but I don't think he was being mean about it. He was just making a joke, I think.
Okay.
But we will undoubtedly see more of them as they're both part of the student council, so we'll get to see more about what's going on with them. There is clearly something going on as Yuki, when he went to go touch the shoulder of the treasurer as she was picking up folders off of the floor
Yeah,
of the
she
student
freaks out.
council. She freaks out and dodges out of the way. So there is something going on with them, and neither of them are Somas. So we will see what's going on. Because if they were Somas, Yuki would know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe she's the rooster.
Maybe. It would be surprising if there was a Soma that Yuki didn't recognize, though.
Yeah. But
Especially because they all have to show up to that New Year's banquet.
I mean,
so
they don't
you'd
all
expect-
have to show up. Yuki didn't.
It's true. It's true. They're all strongly advised, or else Akito will show up and kindly beat the shit out of them.
Eh. With a very soft touch.
Yeah.
Only a touch a mother would have. So that was the first episode. I'm interested in those two characters. They intrigue me. I'm wondering what they're going on about. But yeah, the second episode was Kyo focus with the whole cat spirit. And in this episode, one of the bigger things is that Kyo is now letting Toru touch the bracelet, which before he never let anyone touch it. So he's opening up his walls a little bit. Same thing with Yuki. Third episode, I actually really liked it. It was the brother. The brother shows up again. Yuki's brother. Gotta love that
Yep.
guy. And Yuki have a little chat. And Yuki starts to open up to his brother, which he had never done before, and that's like the big development of this episode. Also, we finally get to see the chick, the girl that works with him,
Yeah.
because she shows up in the opening of the second half of the first season, but we never get to see her. And I was always
did
wondering
not.
who she was. I thought she was a Soma, possibly.
But she finally shows up as just the person who works in the shop part-time, who takes Toru away so that the brothers can get to know each other better, and then dresses Toru up as though she's a lady going out, a noble lady going out for her ride on the lake with her lacy parasol
And dog. Don't forget the dog.
and the dog. But yeah, so we get to learn a little bit more about Yuki's home life and
How
sort
it
of
fucking
the
sucked.
environment, yeah, and how I believe his name is Ayame, the older brother.
Ayame, yes, the snake.
He sort of had to make decisions of, he was a high schooler who didn't know what he was doing and couldn't really take care of his brother, and sort of left his brother behind to live on his own.
Yep. And which now he regrets. We see this because we see this played out in a way where we see a flashback where a younger Yuki's trying to like hold on to Ayame bats his hand away, and then this scene kind of comes back at the end where I don't know if it's supposed to be a flashback or kind of like not like a little thought that Ayame has where he opens up the door to look at it to find Yuki in like the room, his like solitary room. Kind of signifying that they're trying to become brothers and be in each other's lives more than their parents are, because their parents apparently
Yeah.
are dicks.
Their parents basically sold Yuki to Akito.
Yes, I don't know what that means yet, but we'll see.
Well, we know that whatever they did, he ended up in the bad touch room.
Bad touch
So-
room, a lot of paint, a lot of ink.
Minor amounts of going insane. Painting on
just
the walls and the floors. Yeah.
very light abuse, stuff that normal kids have to deal with.
I feel like describing it as light abuse is mild, considering the fact that we've seen that Akito has put 3 kids in the hospital.
3.
He put
Uh,
Rin,
well, we
Yuki,
don't know about
and
Rin. At least I don't know about Rin. I thought she was just sick.
well, they're definitely. I swear to God, they more than implied that it was not just Akito, or it was not just a sickness. That it was Akito
Okay.
also going
But yes, I remember
ham
Yuki.
on a
Yuki
motherfucker.
definitely goes to the hospital. Uh,
What's her name? The tiger.
Tiger. Oh
Uh,
right. Oh, the tiger. Oh.
yeah. After Hiro basically tells Akito like, I have feelings for her. I want to go out with her. They say that Akito beats her black and blue.
Oh wait, the old tiger or the new tiger?
The young tiger,
Oh, okay. Yes,
the
the little
little
girl.
blonde haired
Okay,
girl.
got it.
Yeah, Akito beats her up,
God, what a piece of shit.
sends her to the hospital. Yeah, dude's a dickhead.
I thought she was a guy or a girl.
I guess even if we don't count Rin, he
Can you say that again?
hospital. He cuts his eye out.
Oh right, Tori. No, Hattori.
Yeah, Hattori,
So he's hurt at
the
least 4
dragon.
people.
It's hurt many people.
So, yeah.
Dude is not well
I
adjusted.
thought, I thought he was a girl. I thought he was a girl.
It is a girl.
Okay, I was right. Okay, yes, I'm right. God damn. You keep. I remember we had like a discussion about this earlier, like in the first season, and you kept saying he was a guy or she was a guy, and I said I don't think she's a guy, and you're like, no, it's a guy.
So here's why.
Because in the first season or in
The
the first,
original
yeah,
show, it was a guy.
okay, because
And then in the manga, things are different between the original season and the
right, 'cause
manga.
my thing was that it's supposed to be like a secret that like it's her gender's supposed to be a secret for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was right. Yes. Urgh. Okay.
At least it's more. It also doesn't help that a lot of the characters are sort of androgynous
Yes, they
in
are.
this show.
Ayame being one
So
example, but man,
yeah.
dude looks fucking luxurious.
So it could be one of those just they haven't said one way or another if Akito is a man or not, and it's just a very androgynous woman. Um, but yeah, so in the original series, Akito was unequivocally, absolutely stated to be a male.
Okay.
But in the manga, I found out after watching the first season that Akito is actually supposed to be a woman.
Okay.
So I don't know in this series right now if they're being like coy about it or if it's just one of those the characters are androgynous and it's just not helping that we don't like nobody said one way or another what Akito is. But yes, Akito is supposed to be a woman. Or Akito is a woman.
Yeah, I think they're definitely like trying to hide that fact right now. The fact that the characters are a little bit androgynous kind of lends it to that, to having that little reveal.
Yeah.
So we may have spoiled it for some people, but I don't know. Well, actually, we didn't spoil it for anyone because no one's watching.
Yeah, we'd have to have a
We
viewer.
have to have a viewer. But yeah, I think they're supposed to hide. I think that's the play is they're hiding it for some reason.
Uh-huh.
You've read it, so maybe you know the reason, or maybe there is no reason. I'm theorizing there might be a reason. But moving on, 4th episode, we get a Yuki focus episode with some Haru, well, mostly Haru. We see that Haru has now split up with Rin. It's revealed later on that they actually were going out. They were, a couple. I thought at first like they were like I don't know, really just close siblings or something like that.
Yeah.
I
It's impossible to tell with the Soma family, like how people are connected, because they all have the same last name and are, for whatever reason, also allowed to bang each other. It's very weird.
well, I think like clan wise, like it's a very they're probably like just very distant relatives.
I would hope so.
Um,
Otherwise, it would be way more creepy.
right, like the way they have the state, like it's a whole little town, so I don't think they're very like all just that related to each other.
It would be a little bit too,
Alabama.
now for me.
It'd be very God, what was that one blue people from Kentucky? What are they called?
Blue people from Kentucky?
Yeah, the blue people of Kentucky. You never heard of the story?
I don't believe so.
There was a family in Kentucky. They were very like they lived in this very remote village, and even in the village, they were like basically just this one family up in the hills. And there was a lot of interbreeding, so much so that people started to have blue skin in their family, and that's because they have this weird mutation where their blood just kind of was more blue than normal. And like if you give them a vitamin, it basically clears up their skin and makes them look normal again. But yeah, that's just the blue people of Kentucky. His family just became blue after being super interbred or super inbred. Let me find the actual name.
They had the disease methemoglonemia.
Yeah, the flu gates. The flu gates.
Methemoglonemia.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, blue people of Kentucky.
Well, there you go. Yes, so it would be a very blue people of Kentucky if they were very closely related to each other. I would hope that's not what's going on. I would hope that there is more of like a small town. Everybody just happens to have the last name Soma, but that's just a factor of they're all from the same clan sort of thing. But
Yeah, I feel like clan and family is a little bit different. Clan might be like this very extended umbrella, whereas family is like much more centered.
yeah,
Anyway.
it also might be one of those like where in America it's always and like parts in European tradition is always or historically has been when people are married, the woman's last name changes to the man's last name. In Japan, it might be one of those like when two people get married, whichever one is from the bigger clan, or traditionally it might be whichever one was from the bigger clan, that's what last name gets taken on.
Oh, maybe.
So it may be just like as people marry into the Soma clan, they just continue to all be Somas.
I think the woman takes the last name usually, even in
I
Japan.
don't know.
Right, I don't know either. I just think they do.
Yeah.
Because like from what I've seen in anime and like different manga, from when characters get married, the woman usually takes the last name. I don't know if it's
I mean,
development,
nowadays I think that's also a factor of
westernization.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know enough about. I am not an anthropologist. I don't study Japan. Aside from the fact that I watch a lot of anime.
I don't know if you can call it studying
knows?
Japan.
But yeah, Haru and Rin split up. We find out that Rin is the horse, and also Haru goes dark and just destroys a room because
Yeah.
he's a teenager and he's really pissed off his girlfriend broke up with him. And
He's
then,
also more than a little bit unstable at times, so he chucks a whole bunch of death out some windows, basically tears the place up before Yuki and Kyo and Haru and
Bunny Boy.
I believe Momiji is also
Momiji.
there.
He just kind of shows up.
They all show up to stop him, and Haru is just raring for a fight. So he makes a grab at Toru, basically saying, who the fuck cares? Let's just show everybody in the world what we are and be done with it, sort of thing. And
Which is
Kyo
weird
is
because Kyo touches her.
yeah, I mean, the whole rules of, like,
Yeah.
they have to be embraced by is sort of,
Okay.
like, nebulous at times.
Well, no, because like a touch, like Kyo moving her hand, that's not an embrace. An embrace is like a hug. I could understand that, right?
Yeah.
But like from what I gathered in the first couple episodes, they just need to be touching and that's it.
Yeah, there are definitely times where it's just, Haru.
Toru.
Toru trips and, like, bumps into one of them and they turn into an animal. And then there are times where they're basically, holding
tips.
hands or, sharing an umbrella, like, shoulder to shoulder, and they're fine. So the rules are sort of nebulous as to what constitutes enough of an embrace
Yeah.
to transform them. And whether, like, Toru needs to be the embracer, or whether if they, like, embrace Toru, is that enough? It's all sort of vague and nebulous.
Anyways,
but in this moment, it's not enough. Kyo pulls Toru out of the way, but he's not happy that, Haru put hands on his girl, so
it's
they're gonna
fisticuffs time.
throw down, engage in some fisticuffs. They go for the classic hockey style, one hand on the shirt, one hand to punch move, and our
and then
best
the
teacher
teacher.
shows
Oh,
up to
yes.
dunk their heads in water.
Okay, here's a question: when the fuck does that teacher start fucking Hattori? I'm just waiting for that.
I don't know. Several more chapters, I assume.
Because like,
Several more episodes.
because they teased it, right? I'm not kidding. I'm not
did.
crazy. Better
They
fucking
definitely
happen.
teased it at one point.
Hattori needs to be happy.
You really like Hattori.
Hattori's fucking great. I love him. I love the whole like the tree,
Three
the old trio.
Musketeers?
Yeah, the Three Musketeers. Even the third episode, Shigure and Ayame have that super homoerotic face. I just fucking love them so much.
As they eat freshly sliced peaches from each other's arms.
Oh, you can have my peach.
Oh my god. I truly hope that like the voice actors actually had to be in a room with each other when they recorded that.
I hope so too,
Which
but from what I've seen, a lot of the recording, at least in the U.S., is done like basically they have their own little home studios and they just do it there.
I've seen behind the scenes footage of Japanese voice acting where it's
Yeah,
actually
they do it
done
in
like in
person.
studio in
Yeah,
like rooms where like multiple voice actors will sit in and like record together. So I don't know. I know that a lot of American voice actors do it in their own home studios. I don't know if in
all of them.
Japan,
Oh,
as like the industry that it is, if it's more common in Japan, the practice is just you show up at the studio that is, producing it and you record there.
I think it is. I have seen a couple other behind the scenes stuff, like one for Summer Wars, and like they were there with children, like having a back and forth. Because there's a lot of kid characters in Summer Wars. Um,
Okay.
so I think that's just the way they do it there. Is like the not the culture, but like the business practice is to have
Hmm.
the voice actors actually in the room together to kind of work off each other. And that lends itself to like kind of some better performances. Not to
Yeah.
say that the Fruits Basket guys aren't bad. It's just that sometimes it can be a little impersonal, but like I haven't gotten that sense in this show at least. Because even if they are fucking miles away, they fucking knock it out of the park. Just the way they sound together, it's fucking great. I love them.
Oh, it is great. I mean the Fruits Basket voice actors, for the majority, I know, are people reprising their original roles from the
Yeah,
original series, which means they've been doing this for
a while
like
now.
20 years.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they're all professional, like absolute consummate professionals at what they do. So, I am not at all surprised that they all sound fantastic and can do, the best of their abilities, even from their home studios.
but back to the fourth episode, Haru turns dark. After he kind of gets chilled out, cooled down,
A
refreshed
cold shower.
by the teacher, he just looks over at Kyo and just says, "Nice fight," and just
Nice
leaves.
fight. Yeah.
I really like Haru in the Japanese dub. Him just like interjecting with random English words is pretty funny.
The mystery thing was phenomenal.
Oh my god, Yugi's here. What a mystery.
A person who looks like Yuki. Mystery. It is phenomenal the way that the voice actor is able to go from Dark Haru, growly, super edgy, ready to
Mean,
fight, sort of
yeah.
straight to like normal light Haru with like he is the characterization of a cow that can talk.
I was thinking of a stoner, but like if I think of imagine an animal that would smoke you out. I think of a cow.
Smoke you out. I mean, you're
Right?
not wrong.
A cow. Like I could imagine a cow wearing a beanie, just fucking blazing it.
That's true. I do like that the description of what Haru was doing was it was a rampage, and then all I could see was Archer.
Rampage.
Rampage! Great. Now the classroom probably smells like weed and rampage. Um, but yeah, so Haru gets suspended, which I
Get
assume there was a
suspected, sir.
yeah suspected. I assume that was like a Japanese language joke of the word for suspended and expelled are essentially the same word in Japanese.
No, no, no. So, oh, I guess yeah, maybe.
Because Momiji was not only using the wrong word, but was under the opinion that it was a permanent thing.
Yeah, I just thought he didn't know words very well because he's supposed to be German, doesn't really know Japanese
Yeah,
that
I mean
well.
that could also be what it is. You're right.
But
But it was
I
one of
like
the, like, when he first burst in, it was like it's too much of like it's too harsh of a punishment. He doesn't deserve like everything that's happening. This is the worst. And they were like, no, he's suspended. That means he'll be coming back. And Momiji was like, oh, okay, I'm fine now.
the way I took it is
I
that he was suspected of a crime. So like I made that
okay,
connection,
yeah,
so it like
uh
still
huh,
kind of fit in my head. Even then, like I like the way that they translated the joke. Suspected suspended, not super different, but like it's still close enough for someone who is just picking up the language would get confused. So
yeah,
yeah, it fit. It's always hard to kind of translate those puns or not puns, but like
yeah.
language
Language
jokes.
jokes.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
I took what I took it enough.
yeah. I mean, they
Uh,
got close enough where I knew what they were going for, and it
yeah,
was one of those like you had sympathy for him of like, there's not another great word in the English language that means kicked out of school forever that's close to suspended. So I mean, they did what they
expelled.
could. Yeah, you do what you have to do, and suspected was pretty good, and like you said, suspected of a crime. But Haru is not suspected; he is just suspended. And Yuki on the walk home with Toru basically decides he has to go see Haru, and he has to do it himself
Yeah,
because he needs to overcome something.
make sure he's
Because
okay.
Haru lives on the main estate. So as
Where the
Yuki returns
fucking
to
abuse room
the main
is.
estate, he gets a little bit of PTSD flashbacks to his bad touch room. Um, every time I call it the bad touch room, not every time. Now that I'm once again calling it the bad touch room, I'm again imagining Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
Oh my god, don't. That's a little too close.
I mean,
That's
it's close
a
enough.
little
What
too
happened?
real. I mean,
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's probably close to what's actually happening in that room, though. Anyways, that aside, allegedly,
allegedly.
uh,
Legally, I think we're supposed to say allegedly.
legally, I think we are obligated to say allegedly, and it was alleged. But anyways,
He's able to overcome it. He
alleging
actually shows
aside,
up. Some ladies start trying to talk to him. The entire time those ladies were talking to him, I just wanted him to like flick a middle finger, just run away, like just walk away. Like, no, fuck you guys. I hate both
yeah,
of you.
some like 80-year-old lady was like, "You better be thankful to Akito for all that he's done for you. That he'll allow you to come back because he's so great." And you're like, "Bitch, whatever."
Fuck you.
Not even.
So he goes out and
But Yuki just bails out, runs
goes
away from the ladies, and goes and finds Haru in his room.
and they just kind of hang
As
out for a little bit.
as Haru has been reflecting on and repenting for what he's done by playing PS4 for the last 5 hours.
Well,
Uh,
PS4, but like those graphics though.
I mean, he was playing Final Fantasy VII.
This Final Fantasy one.
I'm pretty sure that was Final Fantasy VII.
I
I'm
don't
assuming it was Final Fantasy VII because it was somebody with the Buster Sword. Because there's only one character in Final Fantasy that has that huge ass broadsword, which is Cloud with the Buster Sword. So I'm assuming it was supposed to be Final Fantasy VII.
It could have been. I just saw the picture, the polygons, and thought it's a fucking old game.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, it does have the UI that's very similar to Final Fantasy VII. And they are Haru, Kyo, and Yuki.
Yeah.
Because back then in the first one you could rename them, but now you can't because
Sure.
there's voice lines with the characters' names.
But yeah, so Haru and Yuki have a little conversation about like what's going on with Rin and the fact that Haru isn't giving up on her, that he's gonna, show her just how much he really cares
Trying to
about
make
her.
it work.
Yeah. And, Yuki sort of overcoming his own personal demons at the moment is, listening, but yeah, sort of understandably distracted by the whole I'm standing in the main estate of the place where I used to get abused. But he's happy that Haru is, at the very least not going to continue to go crazy. And on his way home, we see behind him somebody that we saw briefly when he first walked in, that Rin has arrived at the main estate after escaping from the hospital.
Yeah, wearing a very grungy look.
Yeah, she's been rocking the, grunge look now for several episodes and has not changed.
I think that's a so something that got pulled in because of the era that it was actually written in. Because I think like in the late '90s, grunge was a kind of a big scene in Japan. Because that's also what happens in Sing Yesterday to Me, where Haru has a lot of like grunge style clothes.
It's true.
So
He does.
yeah, it's a a signifier of the times that it was written in. But yeah, I'm interested in Rin. I want to see what type of character she is.
We will get to find out.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's got some plans. She wasn't. I forget if it was in the first season or the second season, because I had to watch a little bit of the the first season to fully watch everything. But we know that from the first season that Rin is not hugely happy with what's going on and believes that Shigure has
an
Shigure is
ulterior
doing
motive.
something. Yeah,
He's doing something, and I'm liking it.
yeah. It seems like Rin is a fan of whatever Shigure has planned.
Oh, she's
For
a fan?
Akito.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, okay, she doesn't like Akito, right? Because she's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Akito, not Rin.
Yes.
We don't know if Rin's a piece of shit yet, but we will see.
So-
I also one other thing. I think she has it's a sickness for her, mostly because she's the horse, and horses are oftentimes bundled in with immortality and like good health in the zodiac. And
So you think that she has a die early sickness.
Not that early sickness. She's just kind of sick because of the irony. She's sick
Okay.
because she's the horse.
Uh-huh.
And I'm taking this information. Don't take this information as like gospel because I'm also using the stuff that I learned from Jackie Chan and those talismans, or the talisman of the horse gave you immortality or some shit like that.
Okay.
Anyways, that's Fruits Basket. It's fucking great. I fucking love it so much.
Next week we'll be taking all of our clues for what will happen in Fruits Basket from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes,
The Blue Barracudas will show up and rule over the entire world.
I only get my information from the best sources, Nick.
Clearly.
Some dude on Reddit, a show I haven't watched in 12 years, all that good shit.
Yeah.
But anyways, what would you like to sell out to today?
Little Mo with the scores. Mo. So today I'm going to sell out to something that I may have sold out to before. I
Who
don't
cares?
remember.
We can do doubles. It's okay.
So if I have sold out to this before, stop me and I'll sell it to something else. But I want to sell out to a movie that I watched recently called Liz in September. And I
don't
should
think
have
you've
pulled
sold that
this
to
up.
before.
I have not.
Nope, I don't believe so. I've not heard you mention that before. At least I
Okay.
don't remember.
So it is a Venezuelan romance movie entirely in Spanish. So I had to watch it with subtitles because I don't speak Spanish. But it is a story about a woman who is going on vacation and ends up getting sidetracked or sort of it basically has to spend time in a village because her car breaks down. And while she's there, she spends time in this with this other group of women who all end up being lesbians. And so it is the story of her romance with one of them as they sort of come to know each other and Liz sort of comes to understand herself. And it's a really good story. It's very touching. It does fall into one of the things I may have mentioned this before on ABC, but a very common trope in.
I don't think I've mentioned this before because this is something we talked about when I think we were playing video games. But yes, continue. Sorry.
One of the common tropes in media that features homosexual relationships is that a lot of times they end in tragedy. And in this particular case,
Oh, God forbid homosexuals be fucking happy.
I know. In this case, one of them ends up dying at the end of the movie.
Of course.
But it's a very touching story. It was very good. It was very well done. I very much loved it, and I think if you enjoy romance and heartwarming, sort of heartbreaking stories, I think Liz in September would be an excellent movie to watch. So shout out to Liz in September.
Coolio. And continue with my theme. So actually, I was gonna make a joke much earlier, and I completely forgot about it. About how Ritsuo is someone who would like Tame Impala. That's a joke that's gonna go over a lot of people's heads. Not because that. Got it. That made me so pretentious. Fuck. Basically, whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna sell out to the song "The Less I Know, the Better" by Tame Impala once again. Most because of what happened with wait, no, fuck, this doesn't work with Haru because Haru did have a girlfriend. Fuck.
Pull yourself together, man.
Man, I don't know. I'm just gonna sell it to the less I know, the better. It still fits it fits into the theme of Sing Yesterday to Me still, much like Eventually did. The less I know, the better is about whether or not you actually want to know if someone likes you or not, because chances are they fucking don't. And that's the theme of the song. Also, the fucking music video is awesome. I really liked it. Really trippy and cool and interesting. It ends with someone dying. Fun. Well, maybe dying. Who knows? There's a lot of bananas, a lot of girls. There's a banana gun. Very interesting.
So there you go. Those are our shout outs. This has been yet another episode of ABC. I don't have anything else I'd like to say. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, Brandon?
Go watch Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do intros, so I'm Nick.
Oh, wait, did we not?
I don't believe so. We said the episode, but I don't believe we did intros.
I was Brandon.
It's been a delight having you not join us for yet another week.
We're awful hosts.
We are awful hosts. I wouldn't watch a show in 3 a.m. of us doing a radio show together.
Oh my god, that would end in tragedy. That would end with someone actually dead. See, like, it would be so bad that the lady who's killing her boyfriend wouldn't, like... So the reason she stopped killing her boyfriend is because she was entranced by, you know, the story, right? In
Yeah.
this case, she would just fucking... She would shut that shit off and just continue killing the motherfucker.
Yes. Factually correct.
Well, anyways, have a good night.
So
Have a good
hopefully
night.
you haven't killed somebody in the last hour and 20 minutes. And yeah, have a good one.